Hi everybody, I hope you're all well. Forgive my wet hair, I've just had a shower. I'm very busy today because it's my dad's birthday. So I have gotten up, gotten ready for the day. I'm filming this. I then need to do some cooking in my kitchen, and then I'm going out to spend the day at my mum and dad's house. So I am like, you can forgive the wet hair. I just have to get this done and out of the way, and then I can carry on with the rest of my day. So yeah, I am back at work now after my week off. So I've been a very busy bee, but I've still managed to find time for reading, which is always a good thing. But one thing I want to say first of all is a massive thank you to my mum, who has made the most wonderful gift for me. So, a little bit of a story. When I was off the other week, my mum, well, actually, it goes back maybe a few weeks ago. My mum had started this thought of recycling books, because obviously, because of what COVID and everything's going on, there's been charity shops that have just been sent so much stuff, and they're like, we can't accept any more stuff. You have to ring up charity shops to see if you can bring stuff, that kind of thing, and this is still going on. And mum had some books, and she was like, well, I can't go to a charity shop to donate them and such, and I fancy doing some craft stuff, so why don't I upcycle them and use them for other things? So she used a copy of The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman and created this really funky paper box out of the cover, which I really liked. And then she started playing with flowers, making flowers out of it, and she said, oh, it's good, but what's annoying is that there's these like blocks of blank sections on each page of the book, so a load of the flowers are just kind of blank, and that was annoying. And I was like, oh, I've got a load of books if you want to recycle them and such. And then fast forward a couple of weeks, and sadly Lucinda Riley passed away, and my mum loves her books, and she had a copy of The Butterfly Farm by Lucinda Riley, and she decided to make that into flowers because she thought it was really appropriate, and it just fitted the story and everything. And she made this beautiful paper vase with flowers, paper flowers made out of The Butterfly Farm, and it looked gorgeous. It smelled amazing because I love the smell of old paper, and that was last week when I saw my mum on my week off, and I was like, oh mum, could you make me one? And she's like, yeah, leave it with me. And so she's made me this. Isn't it absolutely amazing? And what is even more wonderful is that this is actually made from the childhood copy of The Secret Garden that was, well, it was my sister's, but it was, it was a book that we both read and everything. And she's made the vase, she's made the flowers entirely out of this book. I mean, this video is not doing it justice, but it's just absolutely stunning. And there's no glue involved. It's all held together by folding. There are some buttons you can see here because of this specific design of flower. You do the segments and then you've got to like pinch them together. So she's done buttons for it, but it looks incredible. It smells like home. It smells like library, and it just fills me with joy because it makes me think of all the books that I've read over my life and everything. And obviously the colouring, I've had to put the lights on because it is tipping it down outside and it is dull as anything, so you can't really see how deep the dark the aging is, but over time it's going to age more. And I love that in this copy, look, there's some illustrations in there as well, and every now and then you just look and there's like, there's Mrs. Medlock, there's Mary, And it's just absolutely wonderful to have this, and it's sitting pride of place on my coffee table. And every time I look at it, I beam. I love this so much. My mum was saying about possibly like making a Harry Potter one, and I said, well, that would be nice, but then you'd have to like explain, oh, it's Harry Potter each time. But I love the fact that this is a secret garden, and to have obviously a tree that got turned into a book that went into the hearts of me and my sister, to then return to, in a way, to nature. I just find that wonderful. I love it so much. And over time, obviously, the paper will continue to age, it'll change colour. And oh my God, I just love it. I love it. So thank you so much, Mum. It's wonderful. Thank you. Right. So go. Just let that stand on my sofa. Hopefully it's not going to fall over. So anyway, it's time to talk about the book I have been reading this week, which is The Murders at White House Farm by Carol Ann Lee. Now, again, a little bit of backstory. So I think it was 2 years ago now, ITV developed a drama of the White House Farm murders, which happened in 1985, and Jeremy Bamber was convicted for. And the drama was based on this book, as well as the book I am reading next, excerpts from the book I'm reading next, just to make that clear. So this is the majority that it was based on. And so I watched the drama. I had issues with the drama, but it's not bad. And I've rewatched it for you guys after I finished the book yesterday afternoon. But I was a bit like, you know what, the issue is that the drama, and it states that some people's names have been changed, some people are completely fictional, and some scenes have been created for fictional purposes. Right, okay, so I was like, you know what? I think I need to read the book. So when I had my big book haul for Christmas last year, I decided, right, I'm going to get both the books that this is based on, and I am going to read them. And here we are. So in case you don't know anything about White House Farm, it is a true crime case that happened in August of 1985, where Neville Bamber, his wife June, their adopted daughter Sheila, and Sheila's twin boys Daniel and Nicholas were murdered. Now, Jeremy rang up the police station, didn't call 999, rang up his local police station, dug out the number and rang them up and said, okay, my dad has just called me. He said does this in a very, very calm, collected manner. You can hear the audio clips of the actual phone call. And he said, right, my dad's just called me. He said that my sister has gone berserk with a shotgun. She's got mental health issues. Someone needs to go over there now. And when I was speaking to my dad, the phone went dead. So I couldn't get any more details from him. Please help me. So these two policemen turn up at White House Farm. Jeremy lives down the road in a cottage, and he arrived after the police. He just very calmly drove up, that. And the police don't enter the house for 2 hours because they think that there's somebody still in the house. And so they're like using megaphones and yelling at whoever it was inside the house to come out, or the people who were shot to yell, scream, silence is heard. There's nothing coming from this house. So finally they enter the house and find the 5 victims dead. And Sheila is found with the gun. She's lying on her back in her parents' room, and the gun is laying on her body, right near her chin, not touching, but near enough. And she's died because of a gunshot wound to her neck there. Now, all of the victims have been shot multiple times, including Sheila. And basically, they kind of went, okay, so she had mental health issues. She's found with a gun. She did it. End of. The police really did badly with the investigation of this, so much so that because they were convinced that that was what happened, they were tracing through evidence, even like puddles of blood. At one point, one of the investigators actually grabbed the gun with their bare hands, so their prints and got all over it, and they could have smudged off any other prints and evidence. They burnt mattresses and carpets in order to make things easier for Jeremy, and it's just like they butchered this terribly. Now, there were two people who really paved the way in order for the truth to come out, and that was Stan. Oh gosh, his last name is just falling out of my head. How very bad. Sorry, Stan. I will add his name in the description. He was an investigator, and Jeremy and Sheila's cousin Anne, who basically went, there is no possible way that Sheila would have murdered her children. She may have had mental health issues. She may have suffered a lot, but there's no way that she would ever harm her children. And police laughed her off, but Stan believed her. And he went, there's something not right here. And the two of them figured a few things out, and churned up the investigation, and Jeremy was convicted thanks to what they found, and also because he was acting extremely odd. As I said, he was very calm on the phone call. He took forever to get to White House Farm, even though he lived down the road. He was quite calm throughout, and then when he was told that all the family were dead, he acted hysterical. He started throwing up. He was like over the top acting, and whenever a camera was on him, he would cry. His legs would buckle, that kind of thing. But as soon as a camera was away, he was smiling. He was relaxed. He was joking. And finally, due to stuff mounting up, and also the evidence of his girlfriend, who basically put the nail in the coffin, Jeremy was convicted. But a key thing that just is ridiculous that the police didn't even think about it was the fact that there was a silencer that got found. Now, the silencer, it was a long-barreled shotgun, really long-barreled gun. A silencer on top of that would add, I don't know, maybe about that much extra. Sheila was, I think, about 5'7", and they tested this, even with the shotgun on, she wasn't physically able to reach to the trigger. And also, if the silencer, because it had blood on it and such, and scrapings from the mantle, which the signs of there was an altercation, so because Neville was found dead downstairs by the mantle. It was so there was a struggle involved, and it got scraped. Some of the paint got scraped onto the silencer, would therefore imply it was involved. If if Sheila had used the silencer, that means that she shot herself 3 times, including the blow that instantly killed her, took off the silencer, took it downstairs, hid it, went back upstairs, lay down on the floor, and died there. Yeah, that's really plausible, isn't it? So because of all of this kind of stuff combined, Jeremy was convicted of killing all 5 members of his family. He was meant to serve at least 25 years, but whilst he was convicted, it was upgraded to a full life sentence. So he's not getting out, but he has appealed multiple times. And there are people to this day who believe that he is completely innocent, and that the The paint on the silencer and scratchings on the mantle aren't visible in the crime scene photos, so therefore it means that they were scratched, it was formed after the murders, and so he's completely innocent. I'm sorry, no, I don't believe that. I don't believe that in the slightest. And he's appealed multiple times, and every single time it has been crushed. Judge has gone, nope, you're staying in prison, mate. And he's going to stay there for the rest of his life, and so he should. In my opinion, he totally did it. And the way in which he pinned it on Sheila and go, well, she had mental health issues, so it's definitely her who did it. It's bloody gross. It's gross. The press were disgusting when it came to this case. They referred to the Bambas as the Archers, like the radio soap that I listened to, soap opera. Well, it's not so, well, daily drama, dramatization. Yes, so they referred to them as that. Sheila, they completely ripped her apart, and just they used the most derogatory language towards her. It was disgusting. The articles and the titles and everything that they referred to her. And Colin Caffell, who was her ex-husband and father of the boys, he has his own book, which is what I'm going to be reading next. He was disgusted by what the press did, and to be fair to him, with this drama, he's never been involved with anything to do with White House Farm after it was all over, apart from writing this book to clear Sheila's name and all that lot. He's never been involved in any documentaries, any such possible dramatizations, anything, until this drama, because he was like, it's been 30 years, and if this drama is going to do the full detail of everything that happened, I want Sheila to be cleared entirely in this drama. I don't want her to be tainted. She was the mother of my children and my wife for a stint of time, and he still loves and respects her so much, and I really respect him for doing that. So that's the gist of the whole White House Farm massacre. Now, that's just me summarizing it. There's so much more to it than that. So I would say you should definitely, if you want to learn anything about the case, check out this book. Carol Ann Lee. Now, this is not just a true life book where, we're just going over everything and getting the feel of the case and all that lot. It is meticulously detailed. Meticulously, so much so that, let me just get the dates right for the first chapter. Yeah, so much so that the first section of this book, as it says, sewing, is set from the 29th of December 1891 to the 31st of December 1984. She has basically done analysis and examine the entire history of White House Farm, everything that has happened in that farm. And there have been multiple deaths, suicides, drownings, shootings. There's been a lot of drama that has gone on in that house. And it's so interesting how history repeats itself. And it has in this location. Sorry if you can hear that. It is really starting to come down with rain and my window is open. So you might hear rain, but nothing I can do. But yeah, there's been a lot of stuff happened in that farm over those years. And then learning the history of Neville and June, especially, I found fascinating, especially June. June went through a lot, and history repeating itself with Sheila, but Sheila and Jeremy were both adopted, which is really interesting. And learning about the history of their birth families and such was really interesting to read. But what I especially love, like I said, it's meticulous, is that rather than starting with a crime and then going through the evidence and then flipping back to the past, and such as other true crime books do, to explain, histories of various characters involved in this case, she goes, no, I'm not doing that. I am giving you the full whack history. You have to understand everything about this family, in all of their history before you hit the crime date. And very, very, very well played putting it into that structure, Carol. You really needed it in this case because there was so much going on with this family, or went on with this family. And I found that really interesting because I felt like I really got to know the character, know Sheila, know June, know Neville and Nicholas and Daniel and Jeremy as well as all, partners and all that kind, every possible person who came into contact with them. I understood them. And then when you get to the crime, to me, she doesn't point the finger and say, in my opinion, Jeremy did this. She goes, right, now you know the history, here's what happened. And she lets you do the conclusion yourself. I think only, once for certain, because I read it yesterday, possibly twice, because I think there was an instance of this in the mental health of Sheila opinion part, where she has said, right, this is what my career has covered. This is what I do on a day-to-day basis. Based on this is how I think this particular thing that I'm presenting to you relates to the overall crime or relates to a certain individual. I really respected her for that. So as I said, they're only like one, maybe two instances where she's actually saying specifically, here is what I think. But she has backed it up with her training, all of her knowledge, all of her experience, and gone, right, here's what I think. And it's only a short bit, but it's very interesting because some true crime writers very much like to give their own opinion. Some will present all the evidence and then just have a bit at the end of the book and say, here's what I think, maybe a chapter or an epilogue or something like that. Not with Carol. It's just those one or two. I'm debating with myself about the second one now, but definitely one yesterday because I read it and I thought that is actually a really good point, where she specifically says, here's what I think. Other than that, it is completely historical written evidence that we have, dating, as I said, from 1891 all the way through to the last appeal, which I think was 2012, and this was 2013 that this was written. So also, it's not like it's been like a journalist or something who's jumped on the bandwagon of let's write about this true crime case and earn some money from it because it's a big thing at the moment. No, it's from 2013. So it has covered everything, every little thing that we have knowledge of about this case, and she presents it in a very well-paced, meticulous detail that this case needs. And what I really love is that even though, as I said, she's just presenting facts, she has been so respectful to family, to friends. There are people, family and friends and such who were interviewed by her, who she quotes often throughout this. And you could tell, like, especially when she's talking about the boys and she's writing about the boys, that she goes over the detail, but she keeps it, she pulls back, she lets you know, okay, they were shot this number of times in these parts of their bodies. But then she'll cut off and she'll go off and she'll talk about the adults and stuff like that. She very much, it's almost like she's going, right, okay, you need to know this because it's important, but I'm not going to focus on that. They were children. They were completely innocent, just as June and Neville and Sheila were completely innocent, but especially for the boys. And having that level of respect, and having that level of respect for Colin especially, it's really, really nice to to have that in this book. She is also very respectful to Sheila. Sheila got dragged through the mud and called the most disgusting things by the press, by the public and such, because for a very long time it was believed that she had killed her children. She had killed her parents and then killed herself, when we know that that's not true. And the terms to talk about her mental illness, especially including by the police, is sickening. And I know it was a different time, because press could say whatever they wanted that they can't say today, and use terms which are absolutely disgusting because it was okay to do that. And she got called those things. But at the same time, she was a woman who suffered, and because of that, because it earned more money for the press in order to just rip her to pieces and say whatever the hell they want, they thought, oh, that's totally fine to do. It's not fine to do. It's disgusting. And Carol treats her with the utmost respect as well, especially talking about her mental illness issues and such. And I think Carol very much understood that there is a lot of sadness, there is a lot of complexity to this case. And at the end of the day, 5 people died who didn't deserve to die. And she paints the picture of this family. Sometimes it's brutal because she, as I said, she's presenting these facts and she has to say, look, this happened. But at the same time, she never treats them badly. She never forces opinions on them as individuals, and she never rips them apart. And for that, I can only say thank you to Carol for the way that she has painted the picture of this family. Families are complex. Sorry, I've got my throat's dry because I've been talking for 27 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna need to wrap this up soon. Families are complex, and there are good sides and there are a lot of bad sides and dark sides to some families, and the Bambas were that. But at the end of the day, Sheila loved her boys. She loved her adopted dad. She had issues with her adopted mum, but there was still love there. And whenever I think of them, I think of the pictures of them smiling and being together and happiness. And Carol never taints that. And I really respect her for that. So thank you, Carol. Okay, I was going to do reading, but I'm like half an hour in, so I'm just going to wrap this up. But yes, I truly believe that Jeremy did do it, no matter how much he denies it. He did it. He did it. So for a book that is meticulously detailed, well-paced, fabulously structured, and totally respectful to the victims and their family and anyone who was involved in the case, White House Farm by Carol Ann Lee is a really, really good read, and I would definitely recommend it. So my usual questions: would I read this again? Yeah, definitely read this again. I really, really enjoyed it. Would I read any more books by Carol Ann Lee? I think I would definitely. I haven't looked up her bibliography, so I have no idea what other books she's written or if she has written any other books. But if I do come across one of her books, I would definitely read it. Would I recommend this to anyone? Yes, I certainly would. I recommended it to my dad. He's never read a book about White House Farm. He was really interested to know what I thought about it. So I think, Dad, this is going to be coming your way for you to borrow. So when it comes to the drama, I'll be very, very quick with this. I need to clear my throat again because my throat is all dry. So yeah, when it comes to the drama, I watched it right after I finished the book, and I found I had issue with it anyway when it first aired, because it shouldn't have been six episodes. They could have done it in like 4. There was sequences that were really drawn out, and I was just a bit like, oh god, this is just too much. The actress who played Sheila did not get the recognition she deserved. I can't think of her name right this second. I will put it in the description. She did a fabulous job as Sheila. I am so proud of what she did with Sheila. She's focused in the episode 1, right in the beginning before the murders, and episode 5, which is a flashback kind of episode of Julie's relationship with Jeremy, and she was his girlfriend, and there's Sheila's focus quite a bit in that episode. She did an amazing job, and she didn't get the recognition she deserved. Freddie Fox, I thought he did okay with Jeremy. He did well with Jeremy, but he didn't stand out for me. I thought the woman who played Sheila stood out, and she was only in maybe 10 minutes of episode 1 and probably about 15 maybe 20 minutes of episode 5, and he's in all 6 episodes. So sorry, Freddie, but that's how I feel. But overall, it's a good drama. There are things where I was like, because I just finished the book, I was like feeling like, oh my god, they changed that, they did that, why have they done that? That's not quite right. But as I said at the beginning, it uses excerpts from the next book I'm reading, which I don't know which things are excerpts and which are dramatized, put in for the drama. And it does say that people's names have been changed. There are fictional people in it, and some scenes have been added for dramatic effect. So there was those factors as well. So overall, as a drama, I enjoyed it. I still think it's far too long. It's okay. It's not great. But yes, the woman who played Sheila should have got more credit than she did for that role, because she was fucking brilliant. But there we go. So those are my thoughts on The Murders at White House Farm by Carol Ann Lee. Have you read this book? I'd love to know what you think. Leave comments in the comments box below. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. Entirely up to you. I'll let you decide. And I'll be back with thoughts on my next book, which, as I said, is linked to this, which is In Search of Rainbows End by Colin Caffell. He was Sheila's ex-husband and a father to their twin boys. And when I said before about the pictures of them smiling, this is the actual picture that I always think of when I think of Sheila and the boys and Neville and June. It's a really beautiful picture. And this is Colin Caffell started writing this when everything was going on, because a policeman basically told him to write down anything that he could remember, so they've got his written evidence and such. And whilst after the murders had happened, for a while Jeremy and Colin kind of lived together in a flat, and Colin noticed that Jeremy was acting a bit odd, so he started writing it down, and that became this book. So the fact that it's written as it was happening as well, I really, really want to read it. So I'm going to be reading that next. Right then, I guess I'll see you guys later. Bye.